So, good morning, good evening, it doesn't matter when you watch this honestly. Did you know the Gamecube is actually 21 years old? Like shit, that's even old enough to drink in the US. The Gamecube is a very special thing to me and probably to you too. So I was thinking, it's finally time to deliver on my past promises. And don't worry, I'll cover the console and games itself in a future video. So let me take you back in time to when my favorite gaming console was also the newest one. Yeah, the Gamecube was a beast. This perfectly cubed console was a major step up in power and overall capabilities from the beloved Nintendo 64. The Gamecube had the pleasure of releasing on September 14th, 2001 in Japan, November 18th, 2001 in North America, and finally, for Europe, it was released on May 3rd, 2002. So, yeah. The Gamecube was the direct competitor to the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and Dreamcast for a while. In terms of power, it firmly outclassed the Dreamcast and PS2, just losing to the monster Xbox. It launched in 2 colors, and of all of them, this purple, or indigo as it's known as, is the most recognizable one. The Cube came with 4 controller ports, an analog and digital video out port that was later removed, 2 memory card slots, and a couple of its slots for expansions, some of which were never used. Oh, and the Cube was the first Nintendo console to use discs. But Nintendo being Nintendo, of course, they found a way to make it weird. So like, when all major game consoles use either standard CD or DVD-based discs, Nintendo instead opted for this mini DVD form factor, which granted helped with piracy, seeing as burning games was still popular back then. And availability for standard CD and DVD discs were way higher than mini DVDs. Still, having a small disc meant you physically couldn't fit as much data on it, which had the obvious downside of making some games not fit on one disc. Hence, some games coming in a multiple disc format. But hey, aside from the disc situation being a little funky, the games played great on the Cube. Thanks to the use of the amazing Gamecube controller, which I covered in a separate video that you can see by tapping the card in the top right corner. I promise it's good. Now, I grew up with the Cube, but I was a little too young to remember the exact launch of the system. However, what I can say is that the hype was strong with this one, especially after loads of demos and trailers were shown to the public. So much like how I structure the Wii U retrospective, I'll go over some of the games each year that were special to me, then after that, I'll go over some of the accessories and some final thoughts. So if I don't talk about one of the games you grew up with, don't kill me! Instead, why not leave a comment about one of your favorite GameCube games or memories? I'll be here to read them all. 2001. Luigi's Mansion was the launch title of the Cube, a bold new direction to take the brother of the face of gaming. I've always loved this one, mainly for being so different yet fitting in so well. This aside from Paper Mario and a few other spin-off titles on the N64 was the first time Luigi really got a personality, so to say. And for some, it's a way more relatable kind of one. Sure, not launching with a Mario game might technically have made Nintendo lose some sales early on, but I think it was worth it in order to build on the character we all love today. Super Monkey Ball was one of those launch titles for the system that I just can't imagine how anyone came up with. I mean, just locking up monkeys inside of balls and then making them either race or fly just seems wild to me. Super fun game though. Pikmin. According to Mr. Miyamoto, this new franchise was supposed to grow into the new face of Nintendo, or at least be the next Mario. To me that means sealing Mario's spot as number 1. Now, that didn't happen. At all. But Pikmin is still one of the very best games on the system, and it's supremely underrated to this day. Seeing our world from the eyes of a tiny alien captain after the human extinction is just wow! Give it a try. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Need I say more? This was a huge deal. I should know, I follow Smash tournaments, and this is my personal favorite Smash game. With a way bigger budget and team, Mr. Masahiro Sakurai created one of the most influential fighting/party games ever. It truly changed their lives and created a whole new community around gaming, and to this day is still being played at tournaments. Without going into an assload of details, it's safe to say Melee improved absolutely everything over Smash 64, literally making it one of those near-perfect sequels in gaming. 2002. Mario Sunshine. There we go, a new mainline 3D Mario. You happy? Well, I was. Mario Sunshine is, and say it with me, my favorite 3D Mario. To many that might be surprising, but I just love it. Literally all of it. And yes, that means the blue coins as well. And all of this is because movement in this game is so darn fun. In my opinion, the only better controlling Mario game is Odyssey, and that's literally perfect, so how about that? So yeah, it took a year, but the GameCube got its own Mario game. Hallelujah. Resident Evil 1 and 0 came out this year. That's it, they are amazing, enough said. 2003. Nah, okay, while they aren't perfect, these are some of the best. One more so than 0, but still, like Smash Melee, the RE1 remake is close to perfection, in it being an improvement over its PS1 original in every way. Funny how this keeps happening on the Cube. Now, RE0 is a bit of a different case. It's the game that originated on the N64, but was later moved to the Cube. And while it still holds on to that classic RE charm, it just does it a little worse. Not bad, but also not the best. Star Fox Adventures. I really like this game. It's not amazing, but it still has immense nostalgia for me. To get it out of the way, this game really should have stayed as Dinosaur Planet. And just quickly for those who don't know, Dinosaur Planet was a game for the N64 Rare was working on until later it was reworked into Star Fox. This all resulted in Star Fox Adventures not resonating well with longtime fans of the franchise. And despite all of this, I still like it. It generally is a Zelda-like game, but with Star Fox characters and some new ones. Oh, and did I mention that the music is made by legendary video game music composer David Wise? Like the same David that made the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. Give the game a try before judging it purely based on internet views. Mario Party 4 was my first entry into the Mario Party series, and well, it's such a special game. This was a major step for the entire series, and while it stumbles in a few places, such as the game not taking place on the actual map as it did before, it still kicks ass. And to clarify why Mario Party 5, 6, and 7 won't appear in their year slots, it's because there's not much to say about them aside from a few notable things regarding an accessory of the Cube. Animal Crossing was released this year, and while it technically originated on the N64 in Japan as Animal Forest, to everyone else this was the first game. And man, nobody could have seen this dumb little life sim with animals making stupid noises turn out to be so good. Literally growing to one of Nintendo's biggest, most popular franchises yet, with New Horizons being the second best-selling game of the Switch. So, take that, you piece of garbage mole. Metroid Prime. Like, fuck, I don't know what to say. This game revived the Metroid series, along with Fusion on the GBA. And holy mother of god, this is incredible. I don't think anyone ever will shut up about how insanely good Prime was and is. So, in trying to think of what original thing I can say about it, I just came up with one little sentence. Metroid Prime makes me want to leave the planet and go become a bounty hunter and maybe try to do the Morphle a little too much. This epic is something you need to experience if you haven't. And hey, rumors for the millionth time now state that an HD remaster is headed for the Switch. 2003. Mario Kart Double Dash. It even got 2 exclamation marks. Neat. This game just rules, often being seen as the best Mario Kart alongside 8 and DS. Double Dash offers the ability to drive with 2 characters in one kart. Now, that's something no Mario Kart ever went back to, unfortunately. The summary is that this game is pure chaos, fun, and kinda slippery in controls. Try it. Wario World is a game that I never see people talk about, and I don't know why. It's literally a 3D Wario platformer with beat-em-up elements. It's awesome and actually super short. Now, I don't know what this game goes for these days, but if you like anything Mario and you find it for a decent price, then get it. I'm pretty sure you'd love this. It's just plain old fun. F-Zero GX. I don't own this personally, but I've always wanted to. But that's not the important part here. This was the last F-Zero game on home consoles ever to be released, so we have to treat it with respect. So long, dear F-Zero, and may you one day return, Falcon punching all of us as you do. And finally, The Legend of Zelda with The Wind Waker and the Zelda Collector's Edition came out this year. Also, yes, I love Zelda, so of course I'm gonna mention it. But yeah, let's start with The Wind Waker. This is the follow-up to the darkest Zelda story and general tone, Majora's Mask. It's crazy then how we ended up with something so artsy. Of course, it's well known that there were plans for a realistic Zelda similar to the 2000's E3 trailer, but that eventually turned into The Wind Waker, which not all loved at the time. But fast forward to today and people love it. As for me, well, I like it a lot, but it's nowhere near my favorite 3D Zelda. Now, the Zelda Collector's Edition, on the other hand, is a love letter to all of us fans, giving us access to Zelda 1, 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, all on the cube. So like, that's incredible. Also, there was this little retrospective look-back video that I must have watched 1,000 times. But wait, did I mention that The Wind Waker came with a second disc as well? That disc containing Ocarina of Time as well as the harder Master Quest. Seriously, it's the gift that keeps on giving. 2004. Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door. Bro, like, I can't even! This is just fucking amazing. Just play it. This is the best Paper Mario hands down. Again, falling into that perfect sequel place. And that's it. I can't even say anything else other than it's just amazing. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is a great follow-up, and personally I find it a bit better gameplay-wise than Prime 1, but the world suffers from being a little more boring in comparison. All around, I'd put it over Prime 1, but again, only slightly. Now, I'm not sure why, but this game is often forgotten or at least talked about less than Prime 1 and 3. I am not sure why and what you've heard before, but I assure you, it's a damn good game. Pikmin 2. I fucking love this. I feel like I keep repeating myself, but I truly just love the GameCube library of games, and this is no exception. Personally, it's one of those perfect sequels as well, but I know some don't like a few changes made to the gameplay and the world exploration. So all in all, it's still great and you should play it. Now, I wanted to mention Zelda 4 Swords Adventures for being a super ambitious game that looks to be supremely fun. So yeah, I haven't played it, but I have seen the whole game, and I recommend the Runaway Guys playthrough wholeheartedly. 2005. Star Fox made its return, again, with something that looked more like the classic games, aka 64 and the original. However, this actually followed the story from the adventures and even sees the team going back to Dinosaur Planet, or Saria as it's actually called. I'm not the best at these kinds of games, but it's fun nevertheless. Resident Evil 4. There you go. Here's the game some still call the best game of all time, and while I don't agree, it's flippin' awesome. Literally revolutionizing gaming and Resident Evil itself, this game is worth your time, and I'm sure you've heard enough about it already. Strange one now, but Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I'll talk about it more in the accessory section, okay? Trust me. 2006. Last year already. Damn. First of all, Chibi Robo. I've actually never played this one, but I've always wanted to. Literally looks so freaking cool, and it's my interest in this game that made me play Park Patrol on the DS. Spoilers, it's also very good. Unfortunately, this original has a kinda steep price, so here's hoping it'll be released sometime in the future. However, the developer Skip is literally lost. It's not officially confirmed, but it seems like they went bankrupt. Although it wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo ended up getting the Chibi Robo IP, we will just have to wait and see. And finally, last but not least, The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. Ah! This is my favorite. Hands down, the best game on the system. I love it to death. This was the last game made on the system by Nintendo themselves, releasing it on the Wii and the GameCube the same day and marking an end to the GameCube's time in the light. This game alone defines what it means to go out with a bang. And that's that. Now, of course, I left out some games, but this video is getting long enough. So like I said before, please do share some of your own favorite memories and games in the comments below. Now, before moving on to the accessories, I want to mention again, I covered the GameCube controller and its various models in a separate video, okay? First of all, this is the GameCube GBA link cable, allowing you to connect your GameCube and GBA. Now, some games use this more than others, but some good examples here are Animal Crossing, where it's mainly used to go to a special island and that's it. But in Four Swords Adventures, it's an integral part of the entire game. You have to use it to play the game. Essentially, it sorta acts like a Wii U gamepad, just a few years earlier. This strange looking thing is the GameCube's microphone. Now, what the hell would you use that for? A lot of stuff, actually. Or well, not in a lot of games, but in the few games you actually use it, it has a lot of functionality. It was bundled with Mario Party 6 and was mainly used in a few minigames and side modes. Same with Mario Party 7, really. However, the game that uses the mic the most is Odama, in which the mic is a fundamental part of the gameplay, telling your little army what to do as you play. It's a neat idea to introduce microphone gameplay into the Cube's games, although the biggest setback is the clunky nature of it all, having to plug it into the memory card slot. These are the DK bongos. Now, you might be asking yourself, what the hell is something like that doing close to my GameCube? Especially with them being bigger than my head. But trust me, they're actually incredibly intuitive and easy to use. These things were mainly used with the Donkey Konga line of games, which were just music rhythm games. But the infinitely more fun game to use them in is Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Here we have a literal 2D platformer being played on a pair of fucking bongos. Wild, I know. Now, what's crazy is that it's actually pretty fun. And it's seriously like an actual well-functioning game. Who would have thought that? This broadband adapter existed and was used for online play. Whoa! Although basically only Phantasy Star Online used it properly. Now for the single best accessory on the Cube, we have the Game Boy Player. If you have been paying attention, you've already seen it featured earlier in this video actually. This thing connects to the bottom of the Cube and allows you to play GBA, GBC, and GB games on the TV. So essentially, it's an upgraded Super Game Boy adapter. It works incredibly well and even allows you to change some picture settings for your gaming. Now, it did lose the ability to pick your own colors for the picture, but who even used that honestly? Did you? Now, these are actually kinda cheap, but the big drawback here is to actually use the Game Boy Player, you need the startup disc, which can go for a little bit more online. Of course, there are a lot more random accessories that third parties and Nintendo themselves made. However, I'll end this section by talking about the component cables. Yes, the original Cube, aka DOL-001, came with two video output ports. One for analog video and the other for a digital signal. The digital port was actually only really meant to be used with the official Nintendo component cables, that were only sold through Nintendo themselves. Now, I guess most people didn't care about them when they were still being made, so they didn't sell all that well. However, in this day and age, people do care a lot actually, and thus, the prices of these things are fucking crazy. So the digital out port was removed in later revisions of the Cube. But if you own an original model and don't feel like selling your house for a pair of component cables, you can always get one of the HDMI adapters. What I have here is a Retrobit's Prism HD adapter. It only works with that digital output and provides me with a sharp picture in HDMI. And this thing comes with a lot of features that other creators can talk about in more detail better than me. But a thing to mention here is that for us European gamers, the interlaced signal coming out of our PAL cubes can be a bit iffy. For American cubes, you can simply enable progressive scan in games by holding down the B button during the cube's booting process. And the weird thing is that our PAL cubes can do progressive scan too, but only through stuff like Action Replay. So, oof. But that's the GameCube, an incredible beast that still holds the title of my favorite video game console. From its launch until the end of its life, it just blew my mind with those awesome games and that incredible controller. If you've never played on a GameCube, I highly recommend getting one. It might take some time to set up, especially with modern TVs, but it's well worth it. Now, with all of that out of the way, how well did it sell?